Terriermon might not get as much support as Beelzemon, but he's definitely eating well with the release of the Double Typhoon Advanced Deck Set. And the new cards are exciting for me in particular because of how open their design is. This deck can actually branch off in so many directions that it's completely insane. So naturally, I picked the craziest one, and I just kind of went with it. If there's one thing that the Double Typhoon deck really excels at, it's spamming the board. And the thing that caught my attention was the fact that the new Terriermon and Double Typhoon option card create a surprisingly efficient mini engine for tamer-centric strategies. So naturally, I dusted off my boy JP and wanted to see if the new cards could make Green Hybrid viable again. Spoiler alert, they work really well together. Double Typhoon in particular is the card that Green Hybrids desperately needed because it searches for any green tamer and any green Digimon. Previously, the deck had major consistency issues because its main searcher, Beelzemon, could only search for a JP and a hybrid, which tended to bottom deck a lot of pieces, especially since it checks the top 5. And even if you could theoretically load up on any green tamer with that search, there was just no way to get them out efficiently. But now, this handy option card gets you all your pieces and even gives you follow-up. And this is especially crucial if you are pairing the green hybrid package with any other archetypes. And speaking of suitable partners, I decided that pairing the hybrids with the golden Rapidmon cards was the best way to go. I feel like the low to the ground approach is just really well suited to the fairly uncharted waters of BT15, and let's be honest, sometimes you just want a YOLO. The new Golden Rapidmon is not a board leveling deity like its BT8 forerunner, but it's a little beefier, it provides the deck with an armor purging blocker, and it can soften up the opponent's board for all of your aggro. The fact that it weakens security allows your hybrids and even some of your rookies to survive checks more often, which just gives your opponent an even bigger headache to deal with. BT8 Rapidmon is still a fantastic card, and a personal favorite actually. With enough tamers in play, you can suspend down entire boards with this guy, and blow up a lot of smaller bodies too. Primarily though, you need this guy to answer bigger bodies, because of course, rush strategies like this are very afraid of big chonky blockers. This lets you suspend those big boys and swing around them, or, just punch over them. Now of course, the card I really love is the new starter deck Terriermon. This little bugger has a main effect to play a Lopmon or a green tamer with their cost reduced by 2. This turns JP into a 1-cost tamer and your memory setters into 2-cost tamers, which is fantastic for getting ahead of the curve. Sadly, we don't play any Lopmons, so that effect won't come up, but this guy alone is just absolutely terrific value. Play him off with Double Typhoon for free and follow up with a tamer? Yeah, I will take that every time. Outside of the starter deck Terriermon, we are also running the EX2 Terriermon to profit off of our tamer spam and make our golden Rapidmons a little bit more accessible on lower memory thresholds. And of course, the memory floodgate Terriermon is here because, of course it is. What else are we gonna play? I also chose to splash in the Floodgate Pomumon because Leviamon and Biting Crush would devour this deck otherwise, and there's a decent chance that you're going to see other green demons like Heavy Leomon running around. So just stopping decks from being able to play Digimon by effects, it's pretty relevant. Now something a little less relevant but still fun is Kalumon, which is an inclusion here to help deal with the 3 Evo costs of the Rapidmons. But it's also really nice to just make your guys big enough to, again, potentially survive into security or punch over pesky towers. He's also great for memory choking too, since he comes down for just 1 memory when you have a Terriermon in play. Now, we don't play too many level 5s here, but the new level 5 Rapidmon is absolutely amazing, and it is of course a way that we can get access to the full potential of our memory setter, Mimi. It is also great to put over a hybrid that happens to live its security check, because it becomes extremely hard to remove outside of battle thanks to its when digivolving /on play effect, which ensures that it will just live to swing again on the next turn pretty consistently. Now, we only run one level 6, and Rusty is basically here to take advantage of the level 5 Rapidmon's invulnerability. And combined with that card's inheritable effect, you can basically trash 2 of your opponent's security if this happens to trample over an opponent's Digimon. Add in Piercing from JP on your own turn, and you are laughing, my friend. And of course, I did include 2 Death Axmon here because honestly, this is my crutch in pretty much every rogue list that I make. And hey, it does let you shrink big guys and blockers down so that your hybrids and Rapidmons can run them over. Or, you know, just make them go boom because they got de-digivolved and suddenly they have 0 DP. Our Tamer lineup is pretty standard, with Mimi functioning as a memory setter and an extender for the breeding area, although that second effect doesn't come up quite as often because, you know, we only play like 3 level 5s. JP is here, of course, to make our hybrids cheap, naturally. I also decided to include 3 copies of BT8 Willis because he's actually really useful for resetting your breeding area alongside Mimi. He actually makes your Rapidmons cheaper to evo into, and he tends to be a tamer that you don't mind turning into a hybrid in most cases because, you know, burning a Mimi feels bad basically every time. Now we round that all off with Giant Missile and Grandel Soul for some comeback potential. And, you know, basically with these security bombs, you are good to go in the event that a slightly stickier body does hit the board. Now, I know that this deck is basically Terriermon trying to do his best Ukomon impression, but, you know, that's pretty good. You can do some pretty disgusting things like cycle out of the breeding area multiple times per turn, and more importantly, you can always set yourself up to keep playing on the next turn, ensuring that a wiped board is not the end of the game. So basically, whether you want to just go Unga Bunga or play more of a tempo game, this deck has options for you. Now, this is just a taste of what you can pull off with the double Typhoon cards. If you really wanted to, you could build towards Alliance, you can build towards Mega Gargomon Tribal. Even Leopardmon is actually not that far out if you really think about it. All I can say for sure is that you need to be prepared to see a lot of Terriermon and a lot of green in the next couple of months. The cards are that good. I don't know if this deck is necessarily what we need for green to become the purple of our BT15 timeline, but you know what? It's nice not knowing for once.